My why is my family. Like, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be the one that takes them to school, that picks them up from school. And I know that sounds really minor, but if you haven't been able to do that for years, those little things are what is important in life. And I don't want to be known as the parent that was always working, I could explain to my kids like, oh, like you have toys and you have a roof over your head because mommy is working. But after so long, they don't care about that. They want mom, and now I am finally going to be able to be there all the time. There definitely was many reasons of getting out of the restaurant environment. Like I said, it's 50 hours plus a week. And then sometimes you go from being staffed to not staffed overnight. And then you're working, endless days and you don't know when it's going to end. I can remember working 14 days straight. And as a district manager, there's nobody that's going to relieve you. That's your responsibility to staff, but that's the restaurant environment. And it's more so now than anything, with the pandemic and whatnot. But I think the major deciding factor was I started with Talent Stacker, still working my full-time job, keeping up with the pacing guide that Bradley provided, which was great, doing the 10 hours a week, and then Easter came along and I missed Easter. I missed seeing my kids Easter morning because I was at the restaurant fulfilling a huge order. And this was the day we were supposed to be off. This was a holiday we were supposed to have off. And so when that happened, I was just like, no more. I am going full steam ahead. I'm going to burn the boat. I turned in my notice and, just pursued Salesforce 100%. And I never have looked back. I remember doing the 5-day challenge and I was blown away. I at first thought, oh, what am I signing myself up for, But it was packed full of just like activities for us to do. And that 5-day challenge, I was just like, whoa. Well, then once I signed on, it's like that, only bigger. Like there is so much information that is being produced. The videos, those are amazing. There are scheduled events. You are constantly learning. It's almost hard to keep up because there is so much given to you. And it's just great. You can go back to those things. If you're struggling in one area, you can go back and be like, okay, I think it was best. I heard it on your podcast, actually. There was a guy from California that was, you had interviewed, and he's like, do you do everything when you brush your teeth? Like, do you brush your teeth? Do you floss? Do you use mouthwash? Every time. And if the answer is no, then you need to go back and look at what's missing. And I started applying that to like when I was doing my resume and when I was applying places and I was hearing crickets. I'm like, okay, what am I not doing consistently? And so then I would go back to those modules, and I would watch all the videos. It's just a wealth of information that you have access to all the time. Being a breadwinner, I needed to know how much we were going to lose. and per month. And I needed to be very realistic and know, like, okay, it might take the whole 6 months. What is this going to set us back? And after talking to my husband, he was so supportive. He just said, you know what? It's betting on ourselves. We can't go wrong. And I was like, okay. And he knew that I wanted out of the restaurant industry, and he wanted me out of the restaurant industry. But going back to college for 3 or 4 years, like, that is a no-go. Not when you're in your 40s, not when you have 2 kids, and not when you are bringing the bulk of the income in. So that was just not something that I could entertain. And I don't know too many programs out there that you can pivot so quickly. And I don't want to sugarcoat it though either. It's not like this program is just going to hand everything to you on a silver platter. That's not that at all. You have to be disciplined. You have to put in the work. You have to have your why pushing you all the way. But what's awesome is you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with so many other people. So what I know now is that I made the right decision, and I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have went all in right from the get-go. The job posting was not a remote posting. So like up until that day, I was thinking about canceling it because I knew that I did not want to drive 2 hours a day. And there was nothing holding me back. So I decided, let's just keep all doors open. I went to the interview. An hour interview turned into an hour and a half. And they let me know that I was going to get a competitive offer by the end of the day. I immediately called my husband, and he's like, "You fell in love with them." I'm like, "Yes, I did." He's like, "I knew it." But at the same time, I could hear in his voice just a slight, sound of disappointment, And so, anyways, got home, was still ecstatic, was already planning things out in my head. But then as the night went on, I was like, this isn't right. Like, I pivoted out of the restaurant industry because of the long hours, because of the quality of life. Like, I needed to improve those things. And while this was a 40-hour-a-week position, all of a sudden it was turning into a 50-hour-a-week position. As much as I love the company, I love the challenge that I was going to face, just the team, everything, I knew in my gut that I had to turn it down. However, when I did it, I think I did it tactfully and respectfully. I waited until the next day. They needed the decision by the end of the next day. And at about 1:30 was when I emailed them. And I told them, I'm like, I loved everything about the job. I loved everything about the team. And thank you for taking the time. However, I'm going to have to turn it down. And I explained why. And at the end, I just said, if for some reason you decide to ever make this position a remote position, please let me know. I would be interested. 2 hours later, they called and they said, "We were disappointed to get your email, but I think we have some good news." And they said, we spent the last hour talking about the company, and we are willing to propose to you the first remote position for the company. And they're like, one thing for sure is that we want you on our team. And we had to figure out how we were going to do this. So it was awesome. It's like, so all of a sudden, now I get to work remotely, and it aligns with my why, and that was the most important thing. What got me to the finish line was a couple things. One, again, my reason why. Two, I was the breadwinner of the family. And so quitting my job was not really in the deck of cards. Like, I needed to pivot really quickly. But three, it was so nice knowing that there was a group of people in the same boat. Every day I'm reaching out and people are reaching out to me, and we're talking on LinkedIn, and we're asking, like, how did your interview go? Or the very first thing that happened to me in the Talent Stacker group was I posted something in our Facebook group saying, I have my first interview. Can somebody, shine some light on what to expect? I got a message from a group member saying, hey, my afternoon it's free. Like, let's jump on a call and let's practice an interview. Like, how awesome was that? So the support is incredible. And people will say that this program is all about networking. I didn't get my job necessarily because of finding this company on LinkedIn or anything like that. But what networking did was it allowed me to prepare for an interview, to do it with confidence. You find your narrative by practicing with somebody. So yeah, the group support, the networking that happens within the Talent Stacker group, there's nothing like it.